So we've had quite a few hard frost here in the mountains of Appalachia. You can see what it's done to my Malabar spinach all up through there. So this is the time of the year that things like that, those tender things, they all die back. So I come out to look though at the Maypops, what we call Maypops. Pap called them Wild Apricots. Some people call them passion fruits. So they have a beautiful, beautiful bloom, and they grow wild here in the mountains of Appalachia. We actually planted these, but my whole life growing up, they grew all around the edges of Pap's garden. And he would tell me stories about eating them when he was a child, where if they come along playing, they would get one and eat them. It wasn't necessarily something that his family harvested, like to help them make through the winter or anything like that, but kids mostly liked them. Now, one reason they're called Maypops is because the little shell is, the green little part is kind of hard, and if you stomp on it, it makes a pop. Not a very loud pop, but still, if you're a kid, that's something fun to do. There's a wonderful story about the actual bloom that's kind of it's used as an analogy for the crucifixion of Christ. So that's a lot of people are kind of familiar with that one. And the reason for the wild apricots is because Pap thought that's what they tasted like. Not just Pap, he didn't name them that, but lots of people called them that. But it's because of the taste. I would say more of a kind of a sweet tropical thing is what I get when I taste one of them. That's the thing that comes to mind for me. But they are one of those things, kind of like persimmons, that you don't want to eat until they're ripe, or they're just no good. They're not as tart like as the persimmons has the stuff that'll just really pucker your face if they're not ripe. They're not like that. They're just bland until they actually get ripe, and then you get that sweetness that people really enjoy. So you might be wondering, well, how do you know when to pick them then? How do you know when they're ripe? Well, they get really soft and crinkly, like wrinkled. That's kind of a good gauge to use if you're out harvesting yours or finding them in the wild. But also, the best, easiest way is just to wait till they fall off the vine. So I'm going to look around and see if I see any that have fallen off. Okay, so here's me one, and you can see it's pretty soft. It's beginning to crack there. Ooh, cracked open, so I'm going to get it. Over here's a few more. That one's soft and crinkly. Here's one. And I see one a few back in behind my grow bags here that have fallen off, so I'm going to get them. There's that one. So you can see they kind of get that wrinkly part, and then they are easily to break open. So we could open this one up and see. And you can see the kind of the little membrane around the seed turns this yellow color. If you open one that's not ripe, it's still white. All that's just kind of like this white. It's just that all around them. So that's a good indication too if you know if they're ripe or not. So the whole thing is edible. You could eat all of it, but the taste is actually the little membrane-y part. That's where the good taste is. But the seeds, you could eat them. You could eat this part. I've read that you can even eat the actual leaves and the vines and the roots, but it's actually that little part that's good. So let's go back in where it's warm, and we'll talk about what we could make with them. Oh, it's ooshy outside. It feels so good to be back inside where it's warm. Makes me thankful for a warm house. So this one that had already come open that I showed you outside, I'm going to taste one of the little pieces, or two of them. Very fruity, tropical taste to me. Now some people, when they eat them, they try to spit the little seeds out. Some people crunch them up and eat the seeds, and other people just swallow the seeds whole. But if you do spit them out, little black ones, then you can save them for replanting if you want to start them, if you don't have any, or if you want to start some in a new area. Now, like I said, they grew everywhere here in Wilson Holler when I was a child, and I don't know, it's probably been now 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer than that. Katie, somehow she found out about them and started talking about them, and I was like, I think she'd been somewhere that she tasted them, is what it was, and she loved the taste of them. I said, they grow everywhere, come on and I'll go show you. And I took her tramp down to Pap's big garden, and we looked all around it and couldn't find not one. I was like, well, they used to grow here when I was a girl, because I remember them. You can't miss the beautiful bloom of them, the beautiful flower. So several months after that, we were at a kind of a little get-together, this time of the year actually, because it was for Halloween. over in Pine Log, and they were going to have people tell stories and sing ballads, sing some of the old scary ballads. And Katie mentioned it to them, and they said, oh, we grow them and we harvest the seeds. So they sent Katie home with some of the seeds that night, and then now we've had them ever since growing in our gardens, and they do spread. So yeah, I have to pull up a lot every year, but it's worth it just to keep a few. But that is something to think about if you don't want them spreading. Now, as far as making things with them, there's all kinds of, you can do a internet search and find all kinds of recipes, from like puddings to even like syrups and things like that, all kinds of different things that you can make with them. What I'm going to show you how to make today, though, is just a very simple tea, like a tea that you would drink out of it. You could also like chill it and drink it cold, so it could be a cold drink, either one. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and it couldn't be easier. Very, very simple. So I've got a pot of water here, and I've probably got about 2.5 cups of water, something like that. I didn't really measure. And I'm just going to I'm going to kind of tear them apart and put the whole thing down in my water. And probably, if I can, take the stem off. These that are really ripe, you don't even really need to cut them. You can just tear them. Just tear them loose and put them in there. They're cold from being outside. That one's got a little bit of a bad place, so I'm going to leave that part out. Another thing you can make with them, and Katie made us some one year, was jelly, and it was good. It was really good. It was kind of a mild flavor, but it was a good jelly. Need to get her to do that again. This one's really juicy, really squirting out. Sometimes when they get really ripe like this, the outside of them begins to turn yellow too. So now that I've got those in my water, I'm going to take it over to the stove, and I'm going to let them simmer for about 5 minutes.
I'm hanging out with my mom today, and we're making tea.
We're making a strange tea. So we've actually been letting it simmer for probably about 10 minutes, haven't we? So 10 minutes instead of the 5 that I said. You want to hold that, Corey? We're going to pour it in. It smells really good. Our whole house now smells like a, I don't know, tropical something, doesn't it?
It is tropical, yeah.
I'll try to push some of the stuff out.
Get all the juice.
Okay, I think that's good. Corey, get the pot and we'll set this back in. It's behind us. I'll just set it right there. There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now watch as I drink this whole thing as it's boiling. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, you could, I guess, if you want to. So, fun fact, if you watch my videos, you probably already know this, you've heard me say it, is I hate hot tea, so there's no way I could drink it hot. Ugh. I don't know what it is about hot tea, whether it's this or chamomile or whatever y'all drink. Anything.
Lavender.
It's just something about it, just the worst taste ever in my life. I just can't do it. I do like hot drinks, but just no tea, no nothing. So Corey's going to try it hot. She's got her some honey here and got her cup. She's going to try that. I've got a snuff jar here full of ice with a little bit of sugar, so I'm going to do it the cold way. And of course if you want to drink it cold, you could put it in the refrigerator and let it really cool off and not be steaming when you pour it over your ice, but we're going to go ahead and try it anyway for today. Let me pour Corey some. Tell me when.
That right there.
Okay. I'm really going to just melt my ice, ain't I? But I want to try it now. I don't want to wait.
It's going to melt your ice, though, yeah.
Well, maybe not too bad.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks like lemonade or something.
Yeah.
Get a spoon to stir a little bit. Okay, it didn't melt it too bad, so we're still good. I should have put honey too, but I'm trying it with the sugar. See. Not bad. Tastes like a. Oh, it's hot. Hot. Sorry.
It's okay.
Tastes like you could put a piece of ice in there. Pap always put a piece of ice in his hot coffee.
I knew it was hot.
Corey's gonna get her a piece of ice. If you were out to eat with Pap and he always got coffee wherever he was at, coffee. But if it was really, really hot, he'd reach over with a spoon and get a piece of ice out of your iced tea or whatever it was and put it in his coffee.
Just trying to without having to turn it over.
There you go. See if that, you want to taste mine? Mine kind of tastes like a, oh, it's not really lemonade. You want to taste?
Yeah. Is it hot?
No, it's cold now. I couldn't do it hot. I can't take the hot stuff. Like a tropical, pineapple-y.
Yeah, it does make
Something
me think
like
of
that,
pineapple.
yeah. It's good though. Very refreshing. It would be very refreshing on a hot day, wouldn't it?
Oh,
I don't know about that stuff. About the hot. What do you think? Since you're a tea drinker.
Since I like tea, this is really good to me. It kind of just tastes like hot juice.
Hot juice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good with the honey too.
I guess there is like a lemony. You think a lemony note to it or citrusy?
I think that there is, and I think too that it's kind of thick. It's not real thick.
No, but it's definitely like
But it's not.
with that all that pulp that's coming out.
Yeah, it's not like if you had just put a chamomile tea bag in water and took the tea bag out, and it's real just water consistency. This is thicker.
Yeah. So predominantly or primarily, we would just use the Maypops if we were going to eat them, just to eat, just for the fun of eating those little, sucking the pulp off the little seeds. Katie has made jelly. She's made jelly that was real good. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And I've had this drink before with the cold version. I knew I wouldn't like that. But there's other, other things you could add to it. Corey could have put sugar in hers. You could add some lemon juice, some orange juice, something like that. You could mix it with something else. I wonder what it would be like with sorghum in that.
Maybe. Be good too,
I don't
probably.
know. So lots of different variations. Another interesting thing about the Maypops, wild apricots, passion fruits, whatever you call them, is they have medicinal qualities. Now, we're not doctors, so we can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but from everything that I've read, and we don't use them in that way either, but from everything I've read, it's kind of like that the main medicinal quality they have is like a relaxation. And some of you probably know more about that. Like I said, we don't know, but from just things I've read, is like it's a relaxation kind of thing that you would use it for, whether it was a tincture or a tea or whatever.
Yeah, passion flower is super good for anything that's like anti-anxiety and relaxing, and you can get it just in the capsules. I've taken just the capsules of passion flower before, but you can put it in a tincture, and it's in a lot of like natural anxiety and sleep aid stuff.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that, you can do your due diligence. But for us, mostly, like I said, we just like it. Just the little seeds, they have great taste. During the summer, Katie loves them better than any of us. I'll come in sometimes into the kitchen and there'll be one laying over there all broke open where she's just slowly eating the seeds, and she'll leave it on the counter till she's got them eat. She just gets her a little bit every time she passes through. I love the plant though because it's beautiful and because I have so many memories tied to it from being a girl growing up here in the mountains of Appalachia. So we hope you enjoyed this little video. If you're a person that uses the wild apricot, passion fruit, maypop, whatever you call it, please leave a comment and tell us how you use it. We'd love to know.